The 2021 season in Formula 1 has been quite intense, unlike any other season in recent years. The Red Bull Racing team have finally got their act together and have given their rivals Mercedes a tough time in this year's championship. With just 5 races left to be completed, Max Verstappen may well be on his way to win his maiden World Championship, ruining Hamilton's hopes of winning a record-breaking 8th title. Although Mercedes are currently in the lead for the Constructors' Championship, some strong performances from Verstappen and Sergio Perez could very well turn the tide in Red Bull's favour. As he prepares for races ahead, Verstappen and the team at Red Bull are reasonably confident about clinching this year's title and beating the combination of Hamilton and Mercedes to the finish line. So let's dive in and take a look at how Max Verstappen plans to beat Hamilton at the Mexican GP. Out of the 18 races that have taken place so far, Max Verstappen has done impressively well, winning 8 races and finishing in second place in 5 other races. On the other hand, defending champion Lewis Hamilton hasn't been so lucky, winning only 5 races. Despite this, the two championship contenders are separated only by 12 points in the standings, as the possibility of either of the two drivers winning the title still remains largely open. Max's latest win at the Circuit of the Americas has been a significant boost to his campaign against Hamilton, as the Red Bull car showed promise of a pace advantage. Starting out on pole, Verstappen's edge quickly disappeared as his rival took over the leading position on the first lap itself. What they lacked in speed, Red Bull has more than made up for it in strategic calls that have played out perfectly, much to the surprise of the team. On the other side, this defeat has shaken Mercedes' confidence, given that the Texas track has always been one of their strongholds. To make matters worse for Mercedes, the inclusion of a Mexican driver at Red Bull means that their biggest foe now also receives a huge amount of support in the North American continent. Going into the Mexican GP with a clear edge, Verstappen has no doubts about how high the stakes are at the moment, and he's quite certain of claiming the championship for himself. Speaking to the press about what they could expect in Mexico, Max said, "We're all confident within the team that we can do a really good job, but we need to nail the details and we have to start over again in Mexico to try to get the best out of our whole package. I think the turnaround from Friday to Saturday with the car, I think we found a better setup." Hamilton too shared his concerns about the races in Mexico and Brazil, mentioning, "We're going to the next 2 tracks which are very strong circuits for Red Bull, so it's going to be tough. We'll just try and minimize how strong they can be compared to us and see if we can do a better job." Red Bull team boss Christian Horner, in the meantime, is slightly skeptical of how the team might perform in Mexico, but he does believe that their prospects look promising. It's so close together this year between the two teams. There is no reason to assume that it won't be exciting again in the coming races. Hopefully we're strong there. Mexico and Brazil have been good circuits for us in the past, but this year it's so close. In almost every race there's only a few tenths difference. I don't see why it would be different in Mexico, said Christian Horner, while talking about his expectations from the team this weekend. Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton have a bigger challenge at hand this time around, considering the fact that Mercedes have been facing some serious unreliability issues with their engines. At their previous outing in Turkey, Hamilton faced a 10-place grid penalty for his 4th engine this year, whereas his teammate Valtteri Bottas faced a similar situation on 2 separate occasions, including the US GP. Things do not seem to be getting better for either of the two drivers anytime soon, as the next 2 races are set to take place at a higher altitude. What this means is that the air around the AUTODROMO HERMANOS Rodriguez will be less dense compared to all the other tracks this season, but this in turn will affect the Mercedes power unit, as a lack of air will impact the turbocharger's ability to compress air as well as its efficiency. Moreover, less air will have an adverse effect on the downforce that the Mercedes W12 will be able to generate. This weakness in the Mercedes car is something Red Bull will most probably try to capitalize on. The RB16B has a high rake aerodynamic build compared to the W12, which gives Red Bull an added advantage at Mexico. Additionally, concerns over cooling the braking ducts with limited air does not seem to pose much of a risk for Red Bull than for their opponents. While having a competitive car is half the battle won, winning the race is entirely up to a driver's ability and the strategy that will be put into place. Besides Verstappen and Hamilton, Perez too has an important weekend ahead, especially since it's his home race and on a track where he's never won before. If Perez does manage to maintain his current form and shine in Mexico, he could eventually move into third place in the driver's standing, and in the process increase the likelihood of Max's chances at the title. Former world champion Mika Häkkinen had a few thoughts to share after the events of the USGP and what the results meant for both teams, saying, "Max now has a 12-point lead over Lewis with 5 races remaining. While that's important, a single non-finish caused by an accident or mechanical failure could swing the World Championship one way or the other." He further went on to add, "Next stop is Mexico, a circuit which should suit Red Bull due to its configuration. It's also the home event for Sergio Perez, and his performance in this next race will play an important strategic role for Max. But I know Lewis and Valtteri Bottas remain confident that there will be more opportunities for victories this year." Another 2 potential wins for Max at Mexico and Brazil can make all the difference in his campaign against Hamilton as he stakes his claim on the big prize. A victory for the Dutch driver in the next race could give him another 25 points and cement his position on the leaderboard. This would in turn give him the added benefit of not losing his lead in the case of a DNF or any other issue that might possibly pop up. HELMUT's MARKO, who looks after the Red Bull's driver development program, has his hopes pinned on Max, especially since MARKO was the one responsible for giving the then 15-year-old Verstappen a chance to race in Formula 1. Looking at the remaining races, I think we have to win at least 2 more races to be reasonably safe, or let's say confident going into the final race, reasoned MARKO. The widening point deficit does not look too good for Lewis, as he faces his toughest competitor yet in the form of Verstappen. He's however not very worried at the moment, considering that he already lost his lead once before but managed to recover spectacularly. This time though, Hamilton alone may not be able to take down Verstappen, which is why it's important that he and Bottas stick together as the season finale draws closer and closer. The partnership between Checo and Max is the key to Red Bull winning their first title since Sebastian Vettel did back in 2013. Christian Horner, who has been there throughout Red Bull's journey in F1, believes that Max requires Sergio's support on and off track if he's to accomplish his goal, stating, "Sergio knows what the objectives are for these remaining races, and one of those key objectives is having him as close to the front as we can possibly get him." Red Bull's prospects have never seemed better than this in a very long time, and when the new regulations all set to kick in from next year, this could once again become the team's last opportunity to regain their former glory. Starting from scratch next year, along with the fact that Honda will be making their departure, the 2022 season looks like a tough road ahead for both the team and their drivers. Verstappen though has been preparing for a chance like this for the last 6 years, and he sure does look ready to join the likes of Alonso, Raikkonen, Vettel and Hamilton as a Formula 1 world champion and have his name remembered in the history books. So who do you think will be the 2021 world champion? Will it be Lewis Hamilton once again, or will Max Verstappen shake things up? Let us know who you're rooting for in the comments below, and if you like this video, hit the thumbs up and subscribe to Pit Stop.